Kevin Mitnick. The name itself sends chills down the spines of security experts. But before he was a legend, he was a kid with a knack for technology. Born in 1963, Mitnick grew up in the heart of the digital revolution. Los Angeles, a city pulsating with innovation, became his playground. His playground wasn't swings and slides, no, it was computers and networks. These were his tools, his escape, his path to notoriety. Mitnick's first taste of hacking came early. He was just a boy, barely a teenager, when he cracked the LA bus system. A simple punch card system, easily manipulated. Free rides for the young tech whiz. This was only the beginning. The thrill of the exploit, the challenge of outsmarting the system, it hooked him. As Mitnick grew older, so did his skills. He delved deeper into the world of technology. Phone phreaking became his new obsession. Manipulating phone lines, making free calls, it was a game. A game with real-world consequences, but a game nonetheless. This was the era of dial-up modems, of clunky computers and vast, unexplored networks. Mitnick thrived in this environment. His talent was undeniable. But it was more than just talent. It was an obsession, a drive to understand how things worked, and more importantly, how to break them. These early exploits were just a taste of what was to come. The legend of Kevin Mitnick was just beginning to take shape. His name, whispered in hushed tones in online forums, would soon be known around the world. The 1980s. A time of big hair, shoulder pads, and the rise of personal computers. Technology was evolving at a breakneck pace, and Kevin Mitnick was evolving with it. He set his sights on bigger targets, more challenging systems. Companies like Digital Equipment Corporation, or DC, became his proving ground. DC, a giant in the tech world, was no match for Mitnick's ingenuity. He infiltrated their systems with ease, accessing sensitive data, source code, anything he could get his hands on. It was a game of cat and mouse, but Mitnick was always one step ahead. His exploits were becoming legendary, his name whispered in hushed tones among hackers and law enforcement alike. Pacific Bell was his next target. A telecommunications giant, their systems seemed impenetrable. But Mitnick was not deterred. He exploited vulnerabilities, leveraging his knowledge of phone systems to gain access to their network. The audacity of his attacks was shocking. He wasn't just stealing data, he was toying with these companies, proving how vulnerable they truly were. His exploits were making headlines. The media dubbed him a computer outlaw, a cybercriminal. But for some, he was a folk hero, a modern-day Robin Hood, exposing the flaws of powerful corporations. The reality, as always, was more complex. Mitnick was driven by a thirst for knowledge, a desire to push the boundaries of what was possible. But his actions had consequences, and those consequences were about to catch up with him. Kevin Mitnick's true genius lay not just in his technical prowess, but in his understanding of human nature. He was a master of social engineering, a digital chameleon who could blend in, gain trust, and manipulate his way into any system. This wasn't about brute-forcing passwords or exploiting software vulnerabilities. This was about exploiting the weakest link in any security chain: people. Mitnick understood that information was power. He would spend hours, days even, gathering intel on his targets. He would learn their habits, their routines, their weaknesses. He would then use this information to craft convincing personas, posing as colleagues, technicians, or anyone he needed to be to gain access. He would use a technique called pretexting. Mitnick would create a believable scenario, a fabricated story designed to elicit specific information from his target. He might call a company, posing as an IT technician, needing to verify someone's password. He would sound calm, authoritative, convincing. More often than not, it worked. His mastery of social engineering set him apart from other hackers of the time. It wasn't just about technical skills, it was about understanding psychology, persuasion, and the art of manipulation. This made him incredibly dangerous, a ghost in the machine who could slip past even the tightest security measures. Mitnick's exploits were making headlines, and not the good kind. The authorities were closing in, their patience wearing thin. The FBI in particular was determined to bring him down. A dedicated task force was assembled, their sole mission to track down the elusive hacker. What ensued was a game of cat and mouse, a digital pursuit that played out across state lines and cyberspace. Mitnick was always one step ahead, using his skills to cover his tracks, disappearing into the digital ether. He became a phantom, a digital specter that haunted the authorities. He would taunt them, leaving clues, then vanishing before they could catch him. The chase was on, and it was about to become a media sensation. The FBI, frustrated and under pressure, made mistakes. They misjudged Mitnick's abilities, underestimating his skill and his resourcefulness. This only fueled the chase, turning it into a personal battle of wits between Mitnick and the authorities. The public, captivated by the story, followed every twist and turn. Mitnick, once a name whispered in hushed tones, was now a household name. The Condor, as he was sometimes called, had become a symbol of a new kind of criminal, a tech-savvy outlaw operating in a world without rules. But his freedom wouldn't last forever. The net was closing in, and the authorities were more determined than ever to bring him down. Section 5. Behind Bars, Imprisonment and Reflection. The game of cat and mouse couldn't last forever. In 1995, after a years-long pursuit, the FBI finally caught up with Kevin Mitnick. He was apprehended in Raleigh, North Carolina, his run from the law finally over. The news of his capture sent shockwaves through the tech world and beyond. The Condor had landed. Mitnick's trial was a media circus. He was painted as a dangerous cybercriminal, a threat to national security. The prosecution argued that his hacking wasn't just a game, it was a deliberate act of sabotage, causing millions of dollars in damages. Mitnick, facing multiple charges related to computer fraud and abuse, was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Life behind bars was a stark contrast to the digital world Mitnick was used to. Gone were the computers, the networks, the endless possibilities of cyberspace. He was cut off from the world he knew, forced to confront the consequences of his actions. During his time in prison, Mitnick maintained he never profited from his exploits. He claimed his hacking was driven by curiosity, a thirst for knowledge, not greed. While some saw him as a criminal mastermind, others viewed him as a misguided genius, a product of a system ill-equipped to deal with the complexities of the digital age. Regardless of where one stood on Mitnick's guilt or innocence, one thing was clear. His story was far from over. Prison, rather than breaking him, would become a turning point, a time for reflection and a chance to redefine himself. After serving his time, Kevin Mitnick didn't just fade into obscurity. Instead, he transformed his life, turning his once illegal skills into a legitimate and highly successful career as a security consultant. It's quite a turnaround, don't you think? He now helps companies protect themselves from the very tactics he once employed. It's a fascinating journey from the dark side to becoming a guardian of the digital realm. Kevin Mitnick's contributions to cybersecurity are nothing short of remarkable. He has authored several books, sharing his knowledge and insights with the world. His work has provided invaluable guidance on how to defend against cyber threats. In addition, he has given countless talks and seminars, educating businesses and individuals on the importance of cybersecurity. It's clear his legacy extends far beyond his past as a hacker. Kevin Mitnick's story serves as both a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. On one hand, it highlights the consequences of illegal hacking activities and the importance of ethical behavior in the digital world. On the other hand, it shows that redemption and positive change are possible, even for those who have strayed off the path. His journey reminds us that we all have the potential to turn our lives around and make meaningful contributions to society. The battle against cyber threats is a never-ending one. As technology evolves, so too do the methods of those who seek to exploit it. Kevin Mitnick's story underscores the importance of vigilance, continuous learning, and adaptation in the face of these challenges. It's a reminder that cybersecurity is not just a one-time effort, but an ongoing commitment to protecting our digital lives.